Okay, class. So for today's lesson, we're going to look at domain and range. In order to look at domain and range properly, we need to review inequalities. So let's get started. Number one, first thing you need to know is how to graph x equals 5. If you have a number line, you want to put 5 in the middle, one number higher, one number lower. Now to show that it equals 5, right where the 5 crosses the number line, what we do is we put a dot there. And it's really important we shade in this dot right where the line and 5 cross, right there. So right where they cross, it's shaded in, and so it's indicating that 5 is our answer, and only 5 is our answer. Compare that to this one. X is less than 5. So when we have x is less than 5, we'll notice that the sign kind of makes the letter L, hence the word less than. And so what we're going to show is that 5 is interesting, but it's not actually an answer. So one number higher, one number lower. What we do to indicate that 5 is interesting but not an answer is we put an open circle. So if you have less than, then you're going to have to use an open circle or an open dot, whatever you want to call it. So that means that 5 is not an answer because it's not shaded right there where the line and the number line touch. Now, to show that 4 can be an answer and 3 can be an answer, because yes, 3 is less than 5. Remember, Pac-Man always eats the bigger number. To show that 3 is less than 5 and an answer, we can shade it in, or we can just do an arrow in that direction. My preference is just to do an arrow, but whatever you want, I don't care. So what's the opposite of less than? Well, it's the greater than. So we say that x is greater than 5. How do I know this is the greater than sign? Because it doesn't make an L for less than. And we always start by reading the letter first. So this one is more than. And why? Because it's not less. It's more. And if you have more than, well, to indicate that 5 is an answer, but it's not, 5 is interesting, but it's not exactly the answer, what do we use? Again, we use an open dot. Okay, so we use an open dot or an open circle, your choice on what you want to call it. So to indicate that 6 is an answer, and 7 and 8 and 9 and 10, because those all make true statements, if we replace the letter X with the letter number 6, guess what? Pac-Man, once again, is eating the larger number, so the statement is true. Okay, this is a true statement. So to indicate that, we have to shade. So you can do your shading all the way, or you can use an arrow, your choice. It doesn't matter to me which one you do. I personally like the arrow just because it's easier and clearer to see. There we go. Now we have less than, more than. And what if we're including the point though? So if we have this one, x is less than or equal to -3. Again, we put -3 in the middle. It's our boundary point. One number higher, careful, it's -2. One number lower, careful, it's -4. Open or close circle. Well, now that we have the less than and the equal to part, that's like an equal sign. So we have to actually include the point. We actually have to make a dot. So because of the equal sign, we have to use the dot. Okay, use a dot. But what else can be less than -3? Well, -4 can be less than -3 because Pac-Man's eating the larger number. It's a true statement. Same with -5, same with -6. Those ones are also both less than -3. So what do? You're right. We have to shade in that direction. Okay, you'll notice when x is said first that this kind of represents what? Well, it's kind of mimicking what we're shading, isn't it? Oops. It's kind of opening the same way. It's almost pointing the way we have to shade, only if x is written first. Okay, What's the other one, the less than? Okay, so this one here, we would say x. X is less than, whoopsies, less than or equal to -3. Okay, so we do have to be able to say these. It's really important to help our understanding. And again, this is the start of something bigger. So let's say x is greater than or equal to -1. All right, so that's how we draw it. To say it, we say x is more than or greater than. Okay, you can choose your words there. More than or equal to -1. There we go. So again, our boundary point goes in the middle. One number higher, careful. One number lower, careful. And open or close circle. Well, we are actually including the -1. So to show that it's also an answer, we have to shade it in. But what about the other answers like 0, 1, 2, 3? Well, to show those are also an answer, we have to use an arrow or shade in that direction. There we go. So that's kind of a review of grade 9 elementary school. Now at the grade 10 level, what we do is we do things where we have multiple combinations. So for example, we have a number line like this. We have, say, -3, we have 5, and we have an open circle shading this direction, and we have a closed circle shading in that direction. So we kind of have two separate entities. We have x is less than -3, and so we use a comma, and x is greater than or equal to 5. So it's kind of like when they're separate going different directions, this is one inequality and that's the other inequality. Okay, notice we usually write the low inequality first and then the high inequality second. So that's one kind of weird example you see in grade 10. Now another weird example, what if somehow we have containment points? So for example, this will be, let's say 5, and this here will be 20. So what we have here is x is contained between these 2 points. It's between this point and this point. So this one is kind of shading in this direction, and this one's shading in this direction. But once it hits the point, it goes back. And once this one hits the point, it goes back. And so for these ones, I do like to shade in. Okay, I do like to shade in. And so what we say is x is in between here. Now, this is a little bit tricky. It takes some memorizing. What we have to do is we kind of combine them. So we have x is greater than or equal to 5. And we have x is less than 20. So what we actually do is we can put these together and overlap them. So x is still in the middle. These are the signs. And then we have our low value, really important, low value on the left. And over here we have our high value on the right. Okay, and so we can read it two different ways. We can read it as x is, this is a little tricky, greater than or equal to 5. And this is getting heavy, x is less than, here's the less than 20. Okay, so we have x is greater than or equal to 5, and also the same point, same thing, x is less than 20. Okay, so the trick is, here's a little trick, is when you're doing these, okay, when you're doing these, let me show you one more example on how to set these up. -3, let's say 4. So it's a small one. Let's go here, close circle, and let's go open circle. and we're contained by those values. So to start, I can always do this, always. Now what I have to do is I have to check my signs. Okay, so I know they're going to be opening in that direction. That's a given. And then you have to check the equal to part. Okay, so you have to check the equal to part. So I can see here it's shaded in, so I actually need that. But this one is not shaded in, so I do not need the equal to part. Erase. And so now all I do is put my low value on the left and my high value on the right, 4 and negative 3. And so I can say x is greater than negative 3, x is less than or equal to 4. Woo! Heavy duty stuff. So what I want you to do right now is I want you to do this inequality worksheet. They're a little bit tricky. You should be able to do them now and finish this worksheet off. So go ahead, do this worksheet. Don't worry about some of the stuff here, like the stuff at the beginning. Just ignore this stuff here. Okay, so when you're looking for your answers, just ignore it, and you're really kind of looking in between those things. All right, you're looking in between those. Just ignore the stuff at the beginning. And so what we do here for if t was number 1, then wherever you have the number 1, you would put the letter t. Okay, and you can do this one worksheet as well. What did the kangaroo see a psychiatrist? Okay, so you have both those worksheets. These worksheets are further back in your booklet. Okay, so right now I want you to complete the worksheets. Okay, so you want to do both of them, please. Complete the worksheets. Go. Go. Do it. Now. Get to work. Go. Do it. Now. Get to work. Go. Do it. Now. Get to work.